Roe, that's what that is there.
Muntjac.
Muntjac, yeah.
Chinese water
Yeah,
deer.
go on, there you go, yeah. Asiatic species, yeah. Red deer, the largest native species we've got. Roe is another native species. You've got sika deer, fallow deer, which were brought in Norman times, I think. They believe Norman times for hunting and meat and whatnot. Roe deer, what we've got there, muntjac and Chinese water deer. With the sika, Chinese and muntjac were brought in, it's thought to have been around the late 19th, early 20th century. There's ornamental deer in estates, deer parks and stuff like that, but they've escaped, gone out and bred like rabbits. The reason why deer need to be controlled, a number of reasons why. They will hammer habitat. So looking around yourselves now, all these plants and flowers, you've got some wild garlic there and another understory from woodlands. The deer will mow that off, they'll eat that. And it's the sheer numbers that's the problem. So all that habitat there that's gone, you can't support insect life. There's no food for birds. All the understory, trees, buds, grasses, provides the habitat for these animals. Migratory birds have got nothing to feed on, nothing to nest in, particularly the shorter hedgerows and lower understory of branches. So it's having a negative impact on the wildlife going forward, which is called a trophic cascade, but it's kind of going from the ground up. So with that in mind, again, bees, very important, bees for the country, nothing for them to feed on, so they will move away. So the problem is the deer have no natural predators in this country anymore. With the absence of the lynx, wolf and bear, man got rid of those a long time ago. So we kind of replace ourselves as deer stalkers as an apex predator to control deer. That silver, well, that's actually more like a tendon. I'll explain more of that because there's some on the back straps. It's more acting like a tendon. But I'll show you how to take that off in a moment. So I'll make a small incision there. And you can buy different things of blunt tip knives, which I use for grallicking. So I would I make a small nick there. Well, how I start is from this end. I cut through the chest first.
Sorry, I missed the very beginning. What's grallicking?
Disemboweling, gutting.
Right, okay, yeah. Never heard it called that.
So a lot of people just start from the top, work their way down, and they're holding the guts and they're trying to push it all back in whilst they saw through the rib cage. I don't see the point in doing that, so I'll start off at the rib cage. I'll cut straight down through the rib cage, using this afterwards, go through all the skin up through the chin, cut through the diaphragm, then I unzip the belly and the whole lot will come out in one heap sort of thing. So for this, again, a blunt tip knife, you can buy them anywhere, all over the place. This is just a little pocket knife, little grallicking knife, and I'd stick that under the skin.
Oh wow.
Work your way up past the armpit. They're a lot easier to do when they're warm, by the way. I go all the way up, and I'll go up to the point of where the gambrel's hanging. So there's a natural cut there. So I work my way all the way up to the top, or where the gambrel, obviously you hock it, that's called hocking. You push a knife through in between the bone and the tendon, which creates that little gap there. If you cut too high, you'll cut the tendon, you can't hang the deer.
Okay.
Right up until I get to that gap. I'm just being careful I don't slip and hit the gambrel and take a chunk out of my knife. That's the first part done. From here then I shall take the skin and I shall cut up the inside of where I've hocked it, and then I'll peel the skin back, and what I'll do is I take these flaps down and I take these bits over the knuckle because they're quite difficult to get the skin off. And if it goes wrong, I can just sit there, but you're nitpicking with a knife for ages. So a quicker way of doing it, I'll go up the inside, pull that right over and stuff. So you should really take your time, and you can, there's another layer of skin underneath, which if you take it off on the outer side of that skin, it almost leaves tiger stripes on the back. If you've ever seen deer in a larder or anything, or anything on YouTube, whatever, they call them these tiger stripes, and it's some fancy, get it off. Right. I don't bother messing about too much with it, so just work the knife under the skin.
That's it, guys, get around so you can see.
Yeah, if you want to see, if you want to get in there, get in there. Same again on the other side. Throughout your body and the deer's body, they've lymph nodes in various parts. So that's just it. So when you feel ill, like I said earlier, if you feel sore throat and you touch it, it's all That's what it is, that's inflamed. The main ones you get them are in the head, there's lungs, the portal lymph node on the back of the liver, and what's called a mesenteric chain on the stomach, which is a whole chain of these lymph nodes. This is what I'm looking at when I take this apart.
And are you looking at all of them, or just a couple of them?
As you're going, they're pretty easy to see. The way I gralloch, I have the whole thing from head to toe, so I can see the head ones you've got to kind of dig out. The rest of them, as you go down in between the lungs, there's lymph nodes on the way down on the back of the liver. You can see it. I always check them as I'm going through it anyway.
Right.
And then the mesenteric chain, that's what they look like normally. If one looks slightly enlarged, all you do is incise it, and inside you'd be looking for pus, a gritty feeling. It would be enlarged anyway, and that would be a bit of a combat indicator, if you like, that it's had an infection at some point or it's carrying an infection. Typically, if you had something like TB, which would really condemn the carcass, inside here you would have a lot of white spots. You know, there are other indicators for TB being present. All this sinew stuff there. All you need to do with these is just touch the knife on the membrane.
It's amazing how you can see all the kneecaps and the
Yeah.
cartilage around it now.
This side. Oh, I knew it. Oh, just got away with that.
This is amazing.
It is a pretty straightforward process. You are just kind of working away and just taking off. This is just dried skin from that's been exposed in the chiller, that's all.
This is how Billy felt in Predator, wasn't it?
Yeah, nothing
Is
to
that
do
your
with me.
dinner's made?
What we're doing now is just trying to get underneath there and work the skin off of the front legs. They're so much easier to do when they're warm.
Right.
And again, it's any sinew that's holding on for dear life. Just give it a little stroke and ease it off.
So all the white stuff, that's just membrane.
Yeah. When you cook it, all this white stuff actually has no impact. It almost disappears.
Oh, okay.
But you get what's called, people refer to as silver skin. That's actually more like a tendon. I'll show you on the back straps in a minute. So if you were to cook a back strap with a silver skin on, it's like chewing a bouncy ball for a start. When you cook it, it will shrink. So your nice flat back strap will just go like a massive banana because it's just shrunk and it's horrendously chewy. There you go. You can make that into a hat and run around the woods like or whatever if you like.
Nice.
You could probably take that off a lot neater than I can. But...
From dog soldiers.
So that's what you're left with there. That's all edible. No chopping away needed with saws and stuff like that. It is just a case of getting it close to the armpit and just pulling it away. But then I'll turn it out this way just so you can see a bit better. You're coming up to the top of the shoulder blade. Come through the back and just follow it round.
Nice and clean.
And that's it. That is a shoulder.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it too.
Bacon, isn't it?
Yes. It's just belly, just thin belly meat.
Yeah.
I just throw it through the mincer.
Bacon.
So if you're doing this at home, you want to give it a try, I would take that off and throw it in the mincing
That'd be
pot.
good for the
Now these are the best bits, because these two muscles here, this one here and this one here, the tenderloins, they're a muscle that's actually not used. They don't actually do anything, so that they're not tough like a working muscle would be, or as tough as. You can pan fry those in a bit of garlic butter, a bit of salt and pepper, and you don't even need teeth.
Get me super excited now.
You can just put that in your mouth and
making me a
and
bit-
it will melt. So there's one tenderloin there. Bit of fat on there, it's not a problem. That's all you're getting with a tenderloin. It's got a secondary part. I want to take that off, you don't really need that. Mince that one. That's what you're left with. That is, I mean, you can eat venison raw,
I was going to ask. You ever done that?
No,
No time like the present.
it's rough part. So what you would do from here is I'll do that in a second. This silver skin here acts like the tendon. This is the part that will curl up and it's chewy as hell. Take that secondary bit off. You're not going to use that. It's that silver bit there. I'll show you how to take that off in a moment. We trim it up and I'll stake it up into, and just working yourself around the bones, and you'll expose the joint in a moment. And again, from the back edge, you're just going to follow round. You'll feel the bones. Freeing it off as best you can. So in here you'll start to expose a socket, the ball socket. You can see it coming out there. Again, no saws needed. You're just utilising a knife and finding all the joints and taking them off. There's the ball joint there. That's his socket.
It's actually really small, isn't it?
Yeah. And again, you're just following the bones. There's your haunch.
That looks amazing.
Nice.
That's a
Not
lot.
bad for you in any way. It's just chewy as hell.
I think I bury that now by the looks of it.
Yeah, probably. So I'll cut them into three. You decide what you want to do, cut them into steak wise. This is how I do it. I'll cut it into three kind of portions there. Cut through it, not all the way down. You only want to go down as far as where the sinew is. Then using your knife, you place it down but facing at a slight angle, and you're just going to push the knife along the top of the skin.
Like fish.
Yeah.
Fillet in a fish, exactly
what I
right.
was
Yeah.
thinking.
You slide it along, you take the silver skin straight off.
Nice.
You can trim that bit off as well if you need to. I would recommend getting every last bit of it out. That way then you will not chew any part of that.